Hello. Throughout this video, I'll be breaking down voluntary run T-ball, or VRT as it will here on be referred to as. VRT takes the primary rules of cricket and combines them with some of the primary rules of baseball or softball. As you can see in the footage on the screen, the parameters of baseball/softball are in play as it has 4 bases, base 1, 2, 3 and home, set up in the diamond shape that is synonymous with those games. However, you will notice that the participants are electing not to run at certain points. This is where the primary rules of cricket come into play as a part of decision making and strategies and tactics. The rule in play is that once you hit the ball, you do not have to run, hence the voluntary run part of the name, as opposed to traditional rules of baseball where you have to run after you hit the ball. The first, and perhaps the most abundant aspect of the grammar of games that is present in gameplay is decision making. Firstly, the voluntary run rule allows the students to utilise the concept of collective strategy, where the team must come together to formulate a collective plan to score the most points. An example of this can be seen here as there is a group of players on second base. You can see them all hesitate to run and then decide not to as the ball travels towards them, meaning they would be out. Here, the voluntary run rule has allowed the participants to focus on understanding the game, rather than just trying to win. Following on from this passage of play, you can see attempts from the batting team to try and bunt the ball away from the loaded bases. This is demonstrating a few grammar of games concepts, such as collective strategy, hitting the ball away from fielders allows the participants that are on base a greater opportunity to get to the next base without being called out. This is beneficial for the team, hence them using collective strategy. As you will also see here, our batter has employed a sub-concept of play action, which is deception or subterfuge. They do this by using posture and position to make it look like they're going to hit the ball in a different direction to what their body is facing. This then uses the concept of manipulation as the fielding team adjust their numbers in anticipation of where they believe the ball will land due to the batter's posture and position. Some participants are able to articulate their posture and position very well and successfully carry out the act of deception and land the ball where they desire. However, some others, perhaps due to lack of experience, age, or cognitive map, attempt to deceive their opponents but end up failing in the task and hitting the ball in the wrong direction, or to a fielder. As for the fielding team, you can see them employ the use of force ratio here, which is where is the advantage. In this clip, they shift their numbers towards third base and home base on the last batter, as this is where the highest chance to get them out will be, around those plates. This also forces the batting team to reevaluate their collective strategy and where they need to hit the ball. As both sides understand the primary rules, the defensive side in this situation, or rather the fielding team, are also trying to manipulate their opponents by taking advantage of those with lesser cognitive maps and arranging the field so they are forced to hit the ball where the fielding team wants it, as opposed to where their team needs it. Communication and concentration are also very important points when it comes to beginners. There are a lot of sub-concepts that fall into this category, and we will now take a look at some of these. As you can see in the visual on screen, we have a learner at the back of play in a black jumper with white stripes, so they are easily identifiable. If you direct your attention here, you will notice a number of things about this learner that will allow us to uncover where she is at in her development, or transfer of learning. First and foremost, you will see that she occupies a very small covered play space and barely moves, if at all, from this radius. This may indicate a lack of competency or knowledge/cognitive map, meaning that the student has not played a game like VRT before, therefore there is no transfer of knowledge. The player's posture and position also tells us that they may not be particularly interested in the game, or they are distracted by something else going on in the setting. This can be narrowed down to a few aspects, either attentional focus, attentional demand, or the lack of ability to direct attention to a relevant object, thought, or feeling. This is evident due to their swinging arms, swaying hips, looking around the play space, and not directing their attention to the ball or play. If we now shift our focus to the man in the front of the screen on the fielding team in the black shirt fielding at shortstop, we can see that he is most likely more proficient, and the learner demonstrates this in an array of different manners. First and foremost, his play space being so close to the tee and centre of action more than likely indicates a better cognitive map than his peers. He is most likely confident in his ability and his cognitive knowledge map, and he demonstrates this by using a couple of key theories from the grammar of games. First, and most obvious to the observer, is the posture and the position of the participant. At tee-off, you can see him take a slightly lower, crouched stance, indicating he's ready to spring off in whichever direction the ball travels. Being able to do small actions like this when not in possession underpins a more developed learner. Perhaps the biggest detail of them all, which indicates a higher proficiency, is his deliverance of both verbal and non-verbal cues to his teammates as to where to throw the ball when in play, and also adjusting them infield when the ball is dead. He also shows a deeper level of attentional focus as soon as the ball is on the tee, as he draws his attention to a more narrow field of the ball and the striker. Here in this piece of footage, you can see our learner get down on a knee and use posture and position to get behind the ball and prevent it from rolling past him should he drop it. This indicates a prior learning experience in a similar sport, therefore a successful transfer of learning for our participant. We will now shift our focus to the introduction of the pink bibs into the game and how this changes most aspects of gameplay, but overall has the biggest impact on decision making and strategy and tactics. The aim of the pink bibs is simple, yet it adds a certain complexity to each team's respective collective strategy. Whoever is wearing the pink bibs on the batting team is worth 10 points, and if they make it home, that team will receive those points, which is a substantial advantage to the batting team. However, the opposing team also has 2 pink bibs, and should both of those players touch the ball and then get the batting pink bib out, it is minus 10 points for the batting team. Knowing this, we will now analyse the ways in which these new primary rules affect the gameplay, and also the participants' ability to execute actions and strategies in their intended fashions. Here in this video, we can see the team opening the batting has employed a whole team strategy of putting one of their pink bibs first. This person most likely has greater gameplay knowledge or cognitive map and is therefore able to sense running opportunities better than their fellow teammates. In doing this, they also improve team cohesion by allowing the more gifted or perhaps experienced player to go first and take the pressure off the rest of the team, so they do not necessarily have to worry about individual strategy of getting home and hitting the ball, and they can focus on the whole team strategy of getting the pink bibs home and scoring those 10 valuable points. Straight after this, they send their second pink bib in. This is most likely to maximise the advantage of the primary rule now in play. Straight after this, we can see the next batter stepping into their role within the team strategy as he just slightly taps the ball off the tee, giving those in the pink bib a chance to steal some bases and get closer to home. Looking at the fielding side of the game now, we can see that the fielding team has double stacked the third base. This is utilising the sub-concept of force ratio. They have identified that the pink bib batting is making his way around to third, so in order to try and get him out and lose those 10 points, they are aiming to get their double touch with their pink bibs right before he arrives at third base. They are also supported by a learner in a grey shirt halfway between the second and third base, who is occupying a rather large play space. As we move through the footage, we will see this learner continue to demonstrate a large cognitive map. He shows this by the communication he is constantly giving, both verbal and non-verbal. You can see him pointing and talking to his teammates, adjusting his field to what he can read from the posture and position of the batter and the numbers that they are displaying on the bases. He is reminding his teammates of the implementation of strategy and tactics. He also very clearly demonstrates a high level of concentration. We can identify this in a few ways. His posture and position is always aimed at the ball and tee in a crouched position with his eyes locked until the ball leaves the tee. This also therefore means his attentional focus is narrow, or at least narrowed in towards the ball, rather than worrying about the environment around him, as he is confident that he has adjusted the play appropriately pre-play. You can see in the resource below that the player in the green shirt fielding immediately in front of the batter is also pointing to his right at a runner in a pink bib in an attempt to predict what the runner will do. This non-verbal cue can be seen by all teammates without causing a commotion and subtly reinforcing the team's collective strategy of targeting the batting pink bibs. Here in the visual on screen, you will see the person in the black shirt on the fielding team use deception to feign going in the direction that the batter is facing in an attempt to throw her off and distract her. The batter is evidently new to the sport or lacks confidence, as the fielder's actions cause her to rush her shot and miss the ball. This demonstrates perhaps a smaller cognitive map, less experience age, poor decision making, or the ability to direct attention to the relevant object. A more experienced player would have stopped and reset themselves before swinging. The participant makes a clear attempt to readjust their individual strategy of how they are striking the ball. They grip up on the bat and barely swing at it. This is an issue with skill execution and could be fixed over time with repetition or practice, taking it away from the gameplay situation. This learner looks like they are somewhat familiar with the primary rules of baseball and softball, as they immediately seek to rush to the safe base next to the tee, rather than just slowing down and focusing on the striking process and executing her shot to help the team's collective strategy. Finally, we can see a player in the grey hoodie using the action rule put in play of backing up the catcher. This demonstrates a high level of concentration and cognitive map, as they have A, not forgotten this rule, and B, have the situational awareness to move to the position before the play arrives. He occupies a large immediate play space. His use of individual tactics to analyse the play before the ball has arrived shows a higher level of understanding. This also demonstrates the participant's competency and confidence in receiving an object coming towards him.